welcome back. Great to see you. Happy you're here. For those of you who don't know, my name is Becca, and I like to talk about things that make me happy. Whether that's anime or movies or books or video games or so much more. I just like to talk about things that make me smile, chat about them with you, and hopefully they make you smile too, because, you know, that's the goal here. By the title of this video, you have already probably assumed, and assumed correctly, that this video will be about Oikawa Toru from the Haikyu anime and manga series. Oikawa is a third-year setter and captain of the Alba Josai team, a team in Karasuno's prefecture that Karasuno has to beat in order for them to make it to nationals. Now in 2022, the spring edition of Shonen Jump featured Oikawa Toru on the cover of the magazine. Why was Oikawa featured on the cover of this magazine? Well, the cover of the magazine had a bunch of anime villains on it, and Oikawa was on that cover. For me, I find at least, and a lot of people also found it very interesting to have Oikawa on the villain featured cover. So today I just wanted to talk about why I don't think, personally, Oikawa is a villain within the Haikyu story. And actually, even deeper, I believe that there are no villains in the Haikyu story. I believe that Oikawa is definitely an antagonist within the Haikyu story, which antagonists can be villains, but Oikawa, along with Ushijima, the Date Tech Iron Wall, the Mia twins, and every other team within the story of Haikyu, is the antagonist to Karasuno, but not villains. They're just players playing volleyball. For me, I think that there is definitely a difference in intent for what a villain is versus what an antagonist is. You can be a villain, like I said before, and be the antagonist, absolutely. But I think you can also just be an antagonist without being a villain. So let's just clear it up. What is an antagonist in a story? The general meaning of an antagonist is a character or a force that is opposing the protagonist within the story. This pushback and opposition creates conflict within the story and builds tension. An antagonist can have their own dreams, hopes, goals within the story, and those dreams, hopes, and goals can be in conflict with the protagonist's dreams, hopes, and goals. That conflict is where we find the story. In the Haikyu story, the protagonists are the Karasuno volleyball team. Their goal, their hopes, and their dreams are to win volleyball games so that they can make it to nationals and they can win volleyball games at nationals. Every other team that they play, the antagonists, their goals are the same. And in the merging of those goals, the games that we watch them play, that's where the conflict is, and that's where the story takes place, in them playing volleyball against each other. As the protagonist, Karasuno, we are rooting for them to succeed because we get to watch them on this journey of growth together as a team. We watch them train, we watch them struggle, we watch them have interpersonal conflicts within each other and work them out. And in this journey, there are other teams, other antagonists that do have a deeper connection with them, such as Nekoma and Fukurodani. Though there is also conflict because Fukurodani and Nekoma both want to go to nationals as well. I feel like because Fukurodani and Nekoma, though they're still having conflict with Karasuno because their dream of winning volleyball games so that they can go to nationals and win volleyball games, that's still a conflict that all three teams have to face with each other. Because Nekoma and Fukurodani are helping Karasuno, we as the viewer don't villainize them as much as, say, Alba Josai and Date Tech and Shiro Torizawa. They weren't helping Karasuno get to nationals. Karasuno was training so that they could beat those other teams. So there was no like common ground coming together. It was opposites coming together to fight each other on the volleyball court in the game of volleyball. And you can see the depth of that conflict with the latest movie of Haikyu, when Karasuno and Nekoma played each other. Because Nekoma has been on that journey with Karasuno to improve themselves. And also they had a similar goal. They wanted to make it to nationals to play this game against each other. Their goals were more aligned together, and helping each other helped them get to that point, to the goal, to play each other. When you're watching that game, you feel a lot different watching it than, say, watching Alba Josai and Karasuno play. Because when you're watching Nekoma and Karasuno play, it's like watching a bunch of friends come together, playing a game, working hard, being competitive, but there's no villainizing of the other players. Each team wants the other one to be successful. Each team has similar goals to seeing the best out of each other so that they can play more games at nationals. When you watch the game of Alba Josai and Karasuno, that's not really felt. There's no camaraderie at all in this game. They are totally at conflict with each other, with their goals, which is easy then to see Oikawa and the whole Alba Josai team as villains, because they are the enemies that are standing in the way of Karasuno in order for Karasuno to make it to nationals, in order for Karasuno to play Nekoma at nationals, in order for Karasuno to try to win nationals, they first have to beat Alba Josai. And Oikawa has his own dreams, his own hopes, his own goals that he has to get to nationals, which are in conflict to Karasuno. Oikawa wants to beat Kageyama. I'll get into their backstory a little bit later, but he also wants to beat Ushijima. He's wanted to beat Ushijima since middle school. He wants to prove to Ushijima that he can beat him, that his skill is good enough to beat Ushijima's, and his team and the people that he really cares about. If he leads his team right, he can get them to nationals. And Oikawa works so hard for his dreams and goals of going to national to see the light of day, to win against all of these teams that stand in his way to get to nationals, to lead his team to nationals. He works incredibly hard. And in him working hard as well, he also influences Karasuno to step up and work hard as well. If Karasuno wants to win this game, if Karasuno wants to go to nationals and beat Oikawa, they have to step up and show up to the game. They have to work hard. But I don't think that Oikawa wanting to win a volleyball game makes him a villain. At least not a villain that is on the cover that features villains like, I don't know, Dobby, who likes to burn stuff and maybe other things and wants to take down society as a whole and like burn it all to the ground. I don't think that Oikawa wanting to win a volleyball game and going to nationals with his friends is on that same level. Not at all. Being a villain is having this intent, this specific intent to doing harm to others. Wanting to win a volleyball game does not mean that you want to harm others. I mean, the other team that loses is definitely going to feel disappointed, is definitely going to be sad. But at the end of the day, Karasuno winning over these other teams, we don't see them as villains, but they're creating the same disappointment, the same sadness on the other side. Those other teams are feeling that. Doesn't mean that they're creating harm either. They're just playing a volleyball game and somebody has to win it at the end of it. Now, could you argue that there are things about Oikawa that might make him a little bit more of a villain than the other teams in Haikyu? Sure, I get it. There are some things. I can see that he did take a copy of the Karasuno vs. Date Tech game and studied it in the dark at night, watching it over and over again very intently to try to figure out what Karasuno's little sign was for their little quick attack between Kageyama and Hinata. But I will counter that with saying Coach Yukai was also doing the same thing. He was watching the Alba Josai games. And when Karasuno did finally make it to nationals, they also did the same thing for the Inanazaki game as well. And also Nekoma was watching old games of Karasuno as well. Those things are called strategy. Yes, Oikawa took it on himself to do that, but Oikawa has always kind of done that on the team. His coaches look to him to be the leader in terms of strategy. Yes, the coaches do give some advice on the team, but they really do look to Oikawa, and the players look to Oikawa to make that strategy up. So I think it was okay for him to do that. I don't think it was a villainous act. And also people can definitely argue that Oikawa has a lot of hatred and jealousy for Kageyama and Ushijima, but under the protagonist umbrella that we're looking at in Karasuno, we're going to talk about Kageyama in this part. He is very cold to Kageyama. He's not very nice. He does make fun of him. He's not friendly. He doesn't like him, and he makes it very evident that he doesn't like Kageyama. He wants to succeed and prove himself over Kageyama, because in middle school, Oikawa did feel threatened by Kageyama's skill coming up and taking over his place within games. They're both setters. They're both competing for more time on the court in middle school and really on their opposite teams. They want to be on the court the most. They want to be in control of the game. And yes, Oikawa did almost hit Kageyama. Was that right? Absolutely not. Nobody should be hitting their teammates. You shouldn't be hitting your teammates. No matter how frustrated you are, you should never be hitting your teammates. You should be talking to them about what's going on and communicating with them. Never hitting. I will say though, that is the conflict between the antagonist and protagonist. Right there, a physical representation of it. Both their goals are to be the best setters in the prefecture and in Japan. And both of them are competing against each other, at least in this prefecture, for that. Oikawa's frustration and trying to make his dreams and his goals come true basically butt heads with Kageyama's own dreams and hopes and goals of becoming a great setter. They are bumping up against each other at this point. Even though Kageyama is coming to Oikawa to make his goal and dream come true of becoming this great setter, Oikawa is frustrated that he doesn't feel like he is good enough at that moment to be the setter that will surpass Kageyama. And that frustration that Kageyama is coming to him in that moment to ask him for advice for a serve, when Oikawa is trying with his whole heart to be better than Kageyama and doesn't feel like he is surpassing Kageyama in that moment, that's why he strikes out. And thank God Iwa was there to stop the strike, because I don't think that Oikawa would have felt good in that moment after he hit Kageyama. So we're grateful for Iwa to be there. And again, we should not hit our teammates at all, ever. That should not be where we go for a resolution for conflict within our team. We should never go there. What if we are gonna be mad at Oikawa for one time almost hitting Kageyama and never really reflecting on how many times poor Hinata gets hit by Kageyama and their whole fight that they had, and all the times that Kageyama is just yelling at Hinata all the time, whether it's a mutual respect or not? Let's just give Oikawa a little bit of a break, okay? He didn't even hit him. All in all though, I do think that Oikawa is a fantastic antagonist in the Haikyu series. I think that he has an influence on all of the players that is so great, makes them work so hard to be the best. He continues to be a great influence within Hinata's life, even after high school. When Hinata goes to Brazil and Oikawa and Hinata meet up, he still is there to help him out with his skills. And even when Oikawa goes off and plays on the Argentina team, he still has a huge influence over Kageyama and Hinata and Ushijima to work hard so that they can compete their best with Oikawa. Oikawa is so important to the storytelling of Haikyu because he is a huge influence of work ethic and working hard throughout the whole entire series. Even when you lose, you work hard and you never give up. The Haikyu series is filled with amazing antagonists, whether it is Oikawa or the Date Tech Wall or Ushijima or the Mia twins or any other team within Haikyu. All of the antagonists help us love Karasuno more in every game that they play. Each antagonist in Haikyu enriches the story for us and does their part in engaging us in the story. We want to continue to watch, we want to continue to read, because we want to see what Karasuno is going to do to step up to the challenge of each of these teams. But those antagonists, I don't see them as villains. I see them as players trying to do the same thing that Karasuno is doing. They're trying to win a volleyball game. They're trying to make it to nationals. They're trying to win at nationals. They're trying to win nationals. All working in conflict to each other to achieve the same goals. And that's truly what makes Haikyu so special. So for now, I hope maybe you can see a little bit of my point, and that we can all celebrate and appreciate Oikawa for who he truly is. Someone who absolutely loves the game of volleyball and wants to work hard. So until next time, you got this. Bye!
Oh, ew, I got the chills.
If you catch a cold, I'm totally kicking your ass.
How can you be so mean to me?